Hey everyone, welcome here. And today the topic that I'm going to be speaking about is when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And this is it was a song back in the 80s by Billy Ocean, and the words actually were when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I used to really believe that, it's like when the going gets tough, you got to tough it out and you got to, take action and do whatever it takes. And all that's great, right? And all that is wonderful. But over the years, as I have had different experiences, my take has been that when things get out of control, when things feel like there's too much going on in my life and there's I feel like there are many difficult situations that I'm going through. My tendency is to pull back and step into silence, and so that's where this topic is coming from. And I hope that you get something out of this. So, what I'm going to be sharing with you today, number one, is that pain is inevitable. Okay. We're going to be looking at a Buddhist parable, which is don't shoot the second arrow, okay? Choosing silence, the benefits of silence, and I'm introducing all of you to my private EFT tapping inner peace circle. If you want some extra support, and you feel like you want to have some tools that you can use on a daily basis, and you want some guidance, you want your questions answered, all of that, then stay tuned, because I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about my EFT tapping inner peace circle, which I intend to start October 1st, 2018. So let's begin. So pain is inevitable. If you are a human being on the planet, you are bound to have, experiences with pain, sometimes intense pain. It could be a life situation, it could be a health situation, it could be a relationship situation, money, different situations, right? That's a given. If you're a human on the planet, it's a given that you will experience pain as you move through life. And generally the tendency of most people when they are in pain, when something is done to them, something happens to them, is we get all stirred up and we lash out and we feel things are unfair and so on, right? But oftentimes, that's natural, but that's not kind of the best way to get to the results that we want, right? And so here's the story about don't shoot the second arrow. So this is like I said, it's a Buddhist parable. And so Buddha was teaching his students, and he asks a student, if an arrow strikes you, is it painful? Will it be painful, right? The student says, yes, it is. It is going to be painful. And then the Buddha asks the student, if a second arrow strikes you, is it going to be more painful? And the student says, yes, it is. It's going to be more painful. And then the Buddha says, the first arrow is inevitable, but the second arrow is your reaction to the first arrow. Okay? The second arrow is your reaction to the first arrow, and so with the second arrow, you have a choice. And so what is he talking about, right? So the first arrow is, life happens. Something happens in your life. Today I was reading it was on my feed on the internet that a teen pilot, she was going for a solo flight, and as soon as she took off, the wheel of the plane came off, right? That's the first arrow. It's something happened. Maybe in your life, something happened out of the blue. You didn't expect it. That's the first arrow, right? It's like you may have been diagnosed with something, or something comes up in a relationship and it hits you, right? Or it could be a money issue. Something you make a loss, or whatever the situation is, right? That's the first arrow. But then the second arrow is all the stuff, the thoughts, the feelings, the stories that we tend to make up about the first arrow. So, which causes the suffering, right? So there's where is it? Here it is. So the first arrow is pain is inevitable. Something's going to happen at some point in your life, right? But the suffering is optional. Okay, that is what the Buddha is talking about, the suffering. And why do we suffer? We suffer because of all the meaning and all the stories and all the beliefs that we attach to that incident, right? So for example, if you are going about your day, you wake up in the morning and you're rushing and you stub your toe and you trip and fall, and then the toe is hurting, and it's an important day. You have to get to an important meeting where you're making an important presentation, and you say, oh, I really didn't need this to happen to me. Why do bad things keep happening to me? Like, this is now I'm going to be delayed because it's your toe is bleeding, and you need to like bandage it up, and then as you move forward, you realize you can't wear your shoe now because of the bandage on the foot, and like, oh my God, I can't wear my fancy heel or shoe for my presentation, and now I'll have to wear this silly sandal, and I'm going to make a complete fool of myself, and I've lost so much time, and I'm going to get into the car, and I'm going to hit the traffic, so I'm already late, and gosh, why do bad things... You get the picture? So there was a first arrow, you fell down, you stubbed your toe, and then there's a second arrow, right? So pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So imagine a scenario where you stub your toe, right? And it's an important day, and you of course you're in pain, and maybe you cry a little bit, and you say, okay, I have to bandage it up, and you don't get to wear your shoes, so you can have you can, in the midst of all this chaos, you can smile and say, Relaxed Friday is showing up early in my week, and have a different attitude, and and move forward from that space. And the thing is, it's not easy, right, to not shoot the second arrow. But, there is a choice. So there is a choice that happens between the first arrow and the second arrow. And for me, it's about choosing silence. It's about stepping back. So when something's like lots of different things going on in your life, and it's instead of creating all the stories and the beliefs and the meaning and how bad it's going to be, and that means this, and that means in the future, that means today, blah blah blah. So if that's why for me it's about choosing silence. I wrote it here, choosing silence, right? Why silence? Because silence gives you an opportunity to create a little space between the pain of the first arrow and your reaction. And so instead of, rolling in the pain of the first and creating more, right, around you, you want to step back and create a little distance about what just happened. So that silence allows you space and time, and time to like regroup yourself, re-center yourself, see the whole picture from a broader perspective, which would not be possible if you're like swirling in the eye of the storm, right? You can't do much, and you're just going to react, and it's going to create a bigger, challenge for yourself. So stepping back and choosing silence, and by silence I mean just step back. Just don't react immediately. Just step back and notice what just happened and what's going on. So it allows you to not react, but choose a response. So you don't shoot the second arrow. I don't know if that's making sense. And even with the story that I saw this morning, right, about this teen. She's only 17. She's been she's been a pilot for 3 years, and she takes off yesterday morning, and the wheel is off. And so she was interviewed by some news channel. You can possibly find that video, teen pilot, right? And she lands the plane with no wheel. That one wheel was off. And so the guy who was interviewing her said there were three things that worked to get into landing safely. One was her training, right? Her training, 3 years of training of being a pilot and doing emergency landings and stuff like that. Second was her coach, who was guiding her through this process, because she dialed in and he was there. Couldn't have made it without the coach. And number 3 was calm. So the training, the coach, and keeping the calm. Surely, I mean, that was a really tough situation to get through. And so, you can be in any kind of situation in your life, and it can be challenging at different intensities. But no matter what kind of training you have, right, if your brain is on fear mode or anger mode, you can't think clearly. You can't see clearly, right? And so you are bound to react, and you're bound to shoot that second arrow. So choosing silence, and what are the benefits of choosing silence? I wrote it somewhere. Here they are. So, of course, you feel more centered, not scattered. Fear gets you into this place of panic, and pain. Intense pain can get you into that scattered energy, like what's going on, and you don't feel centered. So definitely when you step back into silence, you feel more centered. Broader perspective, that's what I was saying. Like when you create space, you get to see this not from the center of the storm, not from the center of the pain of the first arrow, but you distance yourself so you can see a bigger picture. Otherwise, you have a very limited view of the situation, of the challenge, right? And then it allows you to have clarity, right? When you're not in the storm, when you're not wrapped up in the pain, then you get to have more clarity and more creativity, and you become more resourceful, and you have access to information which you would not have before, right? Because you are clear now, and so you can respond from that place. Boost intuition, right? Boost your intuition. For me, intuition is about being alert to the messages, to the guidance that you are getting from God, from the universe, whatever you want to call it. And the messages are always there. It's just there's so much noise inside that you can't access all the support, all the help that is being made available to you through your feelings, through the the inspired messages that come, but that all gets blocked when you are in that second shooting second arrows, because there's just too much noise. And so when you step into silence, you can then have access to a deeper consciousness, right? Your inner wise, access to that inner wise self, and you can operate from inspiration that comes from that place. So that also is a benefit of being still and silent. Then better decision making, of course, when you have clarity and you have guidance, you can make better decisions. Strength and stability. There is great strength in stillness. There is great strength in silence. I love Eckhart Tolle's messages, Muji, these spiritual teachers, and there is so much strength that comes from being centered and feeling this connection with the divine, whatever it may be for you, whatever however you to your spirituality, right? And so there is great strength that comes. And when the going gets tough, the original message was the tough get going. And in a way, yes, the tough can get going. But this, for me, the toughness is this internal strength. It's the internal stability, anchored in calm, anchored in stillness. Then you can get going, right? It's like the bow and arrow. When you pull the arrow back, so that you can make a greater impact, so that the arrow can go even further. And there is this wonderful quote by James Allen, is the more tranquil a man becomes, right? I couldn't read it properly. So the more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, his influence, and his power for good. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that so true, right? So that is the whole story about when the going gets tough, the tough gets silent. I don't know if you resonate with this. I would love to know your comments about how you handle challenges. And what I also wanted to share with you is, I wanted to introduce the EFT tapping inner peace circle. It's all about being calm and centered and peaceful. And if you feel like you are interested in getting support, personal support, if you want your personal questions answered, if you want to do live tapping with me on different topics to have more peace and clarity and the ability to deal with the different arrows that life always is shooting at us, then I invite you to join me on this journey of inner peace. It's a private membership group. It's $15 per month, and you can opt out anytime, no risk, right? And if you are keen to be part of a community that is safe and supportive, and where you can learn with others and learn tips and tools to support yourself as you move forward through life, then I encourage you and invite you to join me. The link is posted above or below. Please check it out. And I look forward to this journey with you. And thank you for joining me this week. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.